Cool.
Say meeting is now streaming live on Facebook.
Hi, Facebook land.
Hello and salutations.
What's up?
I think that was redundant. How we doing, boys?
No complaints.
Mr. Miller? Now that you know it is the weekend.
Nothing's going wrong or to show a lack of imagination.
Both.
Complain about something if you have enough imagination.
Embrace the power of and.
Oh,
it's cool.
He flipped it on you. That was a good one.
No, that's my wife's code, not mine. I just use it a lot.
No, stuff is good. It's been an interesting weekend, but otherwise, other than
now streaming live on Facebook.
wait,
it's meta, like, so I can see any quotes or comments or that are on Facebook.
That's fair. So today we are talking about third-party stuff. You got somebody with you. How do you keep them safe, assuming it's your responsibility in the first place? And what kind of stuff goes into that? How do you prepare? How do you do it in the moment? What makes sense to talk about? Or do you just let them die and run away? I don't know.
How much does the words "it depends" apply?
I did an active murderer, killer, whatever, active killing people for no damn reason seminar one time, and somebody told me, okay, well, you're out with your dad. And I was like, okay. And so the shooter comes in and I book it immediately. And afterwards they were like, you're with your dad? And I was like, yes. If my dad makes it through and I stayed and I make it through, he's gonna be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You're supposed to leave. He's like, I've had my time. I'm cool. Like, the whole idea of the future and like generational shit is I'm supposed to die and you're supposed to live. I was like, sounds like him. I don't know. But I don't know. Third party stuff is weird because I feel like the first hurdle is getting people who don't think this shit is interesting to acknowledge there may be a reason to do it in the first place.
Walk that out.
So let's say I think that this is interesting. I've had lifestyle primarily made of my choices that possibly put me in positions where I felt like I had to protect myself or what have you, more than, just regular look both ways before you cross the street type stuff. How do I convince someone else that any of that stuff applies to them potentially enough to get them to actually prepare for it and come up with, okay, if something happens, you go here, I go there, etc. And the segue that I think is most useful is stuff like preparing for fires, because it feels a lot less politically loaded, at least thus far. I don't know. What do you guys think? How do you get somebody to be interested in the first place? And once you do, what goes into it?
Rory?
Oh, okay. So you're kicked into me. I see what you're doing.
Well, I've got a whole bunch of stuff, but I also don't want to, I don't want to like.
I've got a bunch of it. So I see it as a matrix. It's the length of time with the relationship, because third party intervention ranges from your family having an evacuation plan for your house up to what do you do if you see two strangers fighting, or a stranger beating on a stranger beating on a kid.
See, your comment is reflecting my bias, because if it's none of my business, and I'm pretty sure that it's mutual.
If it's mutual, but it runs into someone beating a kid, there's somewhere on that matrix that there's something you would not like looking at yourself in the mirror afterwards.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
And you have to approach that with the awareness that you don't actually know what's going on. That sometimes the scruffy guy is actually the scruffy guy who's winning is actually the undercover cop. Sometimes the kid that's getting his ass beat pulled a knife, and you can't know that. And the other, with that, the stranger is how trained are they? And that doesn't necessarily mean trained by me. There's people with similar backgrounds to mine that we don't have to make a plan. It's because we've all tabletop this or done it so much that we're going to have really similar instincts. We just need to communicate a little bit.
Mm.
Whereas my family's not that trained. So we have, and I've talked about this, one of my protocols, we can't find each other. You know, we get separated in the store or something. There's a song that we whistle. If you hear that song, you know that someone's looking for you, and you just follow the whistle, and that's how we. So, um, so again, how important the person is to you, what the connection is one level of the matrix. The other is whether you've had time to make plans, whether you bother to make plans, where you need to make plans, and that's where that spreads out. So, Paul.
So hitting this from an adult level, because with regards to kids, it's pretty much treat them like suitcases and you're late for the airport, right? That's I don't know that there's much other in terms of solution. I guess there's the follow-up with kids specifically of have a fallback place, plan, location, and make it a game. But that's probably a long dovetail we don't care about right now. So with regards to adults, I have usually asked people what's their level of interest and or buy-in, and then adjusted my plans from there. So do you want to know, or do you just want me to tell you what the hell to do at the right moment in time? Which then requires this is not time to argue. This is not time to ask why. This is time to, and we will discuss, we can have all the emotional talk later. Let's just do this right now. So it's a conversation, right? It's a buy-in conversation. Much akin to Mr. Miller. I have those friends, I have nudged them and we kind of joke about it. It's like, you go left, right, et cetera, whatever the case may be, where the mindset is similar in a fashion, if you will. Do you want to go, Malcolm, and then I'll read this some stuff on Facebook, or do you want me to do Facebook first?
No, you can do Facebook.
All right, so Mr. Lindemann, Wybert, evening, and we'll see you in a little bit. Brandon, evening. Tommy Galloway, Mr. Malcolm, I would submit that the answer to the how to get them interested question lies in the average daily news feed. It's everywhere and no one is impervious to it. It's not bad. Interesting. Brandon Dutton, perspective to them on a personal level helps bring them in or buy into the theory or learning. Yeah. So if that's your goal, if your goal is to make them more of a compatriot and not just luggage, then that would probably make sense. Well, listen, do we all agree that in some cases, and not just children, the other person might be luggage, and that luggage might be yours to deal with?
Possibly.
Only to accept it.
Yeah,
we or them? We or them?
Yeah.
To me, it depends on how much relationship capital you're willing to spend on it. How important is it to you? Because if there is mutual respect and concern, there are things that I think are stone cold bullshit that if my wife asks me to actually really invest in, I will really invest in, because A, I want to make her happy, and B, because I assume there are things she can see that I can't. So if she really cares about it, I'm assuming there's a reason. With that said, I think it kind of goes to the levels, which may be a subsection of the matrix Rory talked about, where it's like, how much do I really want? If this is someone I'm going to be around a lot, how much do I really need them to have prepared and know, or is it just something really basic? Is it two things? If it starts to go left, your job is to head to the rally point, which is probably going to be the car, and wait 5 minutes. If I'm not back, contact the authorities and go home. And I'll either make my way home or I won't. And you being there is not going to change that outcome, chances are. It depends on how much you really want to get out of it, I think. But I had an interesting thought on the intake part, like the news feed thing. I'm not sure that influences it, because I think there are a bunch of people. All right, so right now, I think DC in 2020 was top 20 murder rates. It's gone up since blah, 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 blah. Like all the regular, like people get shot here shit. There are plenty of people who know this stuff happens all the time, and it means absolutely nothing to them. Partially because they're frankly not really that at risk, because they're not in places with people where that stuff happens, but also because for them, it's like in their minds, it's like trying to prepare for getting hit by lightning. So it doesn't really, like, it doesn't resonate. It's just either it's going to happen or it's not. And so trying to figure out where the perception of agency comes in is a big factor, because just letting people know stuff happens doesn't necessarily mean they feel like they can do something about it, or that they think it'll happen to them. What do you think, Rory?
I think a rabbit hole that we don't dare touch right now is what kind of people you want in your life and what you're willing to tolerate. And if your bullshit tolerance for people is very, very low, then you're far less likely to have this as a problem.
I think you just had the whole conversation. Like,
yeah,
just
I feel like your
finish.
perspective on the subject has been made abundantly clear in that one statement.
But it's there. It's one of those.
So for everybody, Roy's not calling back. You know why?
If you want to get into the rabbit hole, it's like it's much like you, Malcolm. With my wife invests in something, then I'm in because her happiness is more important. And I do assume that she sees a lot of things I don't. With that said, I don't get the human tendency to try to keep friends, even if you can't stand being around them, or even if they're a drag on your life, or even if they're palpably a problem. I don't invest, well, he's a problem, he's my problem. I don't know his problem. And I work very hard not to spend time around people that make my life worse.
So that goes towards like life protection and enhancement through really careful selection of whom you're around, which actually leads to third party stuff, because you could make the argument, we've all had the friend that you couldn't go places where they served alcohol with because they were going to get drunk and do some dumb shit. And that was going to potentially put you at least in an awkward position, if not a possibly hazardous one. So it's interesting.
At some point, Malcolm, I'm going to make a guess. I know I've had this conversation a few times. Oh, great. Paul's coming out with us tonight. If we get into a fight, we're set. And I'm like, no, dumbass. I'm on their side. I'm going to watch you get your ass beat. Sometimes
the right answer is knocking your friend out before he
let's thankfully I haven't been, to my recollection, nobody's ever been like, oh, Malcolm's here, it's gonna be fun, because I try to make it abundantly clear, one, I am made out of the same fucking meat popsicle parts that you are, and two, here's the best you can expect from me in terms of protection, unless it's really, really bad. When I leave, you leave. Outside of people I'm personally responsible for. If you want to be a dick and somebody decides to kick 6 shades of shit out of you, don't know what to tell you. Enjoy the hospital. Especially because I feel like that person we all know. So we're just kind of waiting, just kind of hanging out in the background. You don't want to be the one to do it, but anyway, that's a sidebar.
No, it's how the hell do you even get in that situation?
Friends of friends is a common one.
Friends of friends.
But again, not my problem, right?
But also,
how many of you have trouble saying, dude, your friend is stupid and I do not want to spend any time with him?
I don't.
Right? Makes things easier.
I wasn't always as able to do that. Or in some instances, because I was young and dumb and found certain things to be fun, I kind of didn't care.
Right.
So there's that.
That's been a long time for me.
That's another. Toxicity is a lot more fun when you're young and dumb.
Isn't that the only time it's really fun?
It's never actually fun, because then afterwards you're like, what the fuck happened? How did we get there?
It's a little bit fun.
The older you get, the more amusing it becomes.
Yeah, and from a distance.
Right.
You get good stories, but as you get older, you realize all these stories start with one time I was really stupid and.
Yeah.
Well, the self-aware start that way.
Yeah. You get tired of all your good stories start by admitting you're stupid. Gets kind of boring after a while. Or no, boring's not the right word, but I think you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel good.
So those of you who join us on the next call, maybe we'll tell some of these stupid stories for everybody else. You'll just have to speculate and wonder why Rory's drinking blue shit.
I said I almost put him thinking the chat. Looks like he's drinking Romulan ale.
Yeah, the shipment came in.
Oh, those shipping costs must have been a motherfucker.
All right. Well, we do have people in the waiting room, and it is 6:02, so we're late. I'm gonna blame Rory. I don't know.
Right.
It's funny. So for everybody watching on Facebook, thank you guys. Everybody on YouTube later, thank you guys. And we'll probably see you next Sunday. Later,
Same
all.
bat time, same bat channel.
Oh, that was well done.